One Piece chapter 1180, Omen, or Maki, which translates to demonic aura, is about Imu's unveiling in Elbaph as he frees his god knights from their restraints and bolsters his forces, and it all culminates to Imu facing up against the Prince of Elbaph, Harald's descendant, Loki Nidhogger. Let's get right into it. The chapter begins where we left off in 1179 with Imu on top of the castle spire, and as he looks upon the land, you can see the black flames raging on. The king of the world has come to Elbaph, and in a split second he teleports in front of the giant pirates, and they only ask who the king of this country is. Dory and Bragi ask who he is, and yell out that Elbaph has no king. And that's when Imu notices Summer's cut-up body in Gerd's hand, and immediately makes his move. And as we turn the page, we see Gerd's fingers just fall off her hand, Supan. And Summer's body also drops to the ground. It was so quick, we didn't even see him attack, and all of the surrounding characters, including Zoro and Hajurin, look in shock at the suddenness of it all. Imu is like, what are you doing, getting caught like that, Summers? And as this is happening, the buildings around that are possessed are singing. Seeing this immediate threat, Zoro slides and confronts him. He asks Imu if he's like the other god knights, to which Imu just stares at, saying Summers has got his steel heart in his hands, and he lets out a sigh of relief. And by now we should know that the god knights, or at least Summers, have another weakness other than advanced conquers hockey. Having a steel heart means they can be taken out by any attack strong enough to slice their internal organs. But if anything else is hit, they can just regenerate back with ease. As Imu stares into Zoro's soul, you see Hajurin barge in thinking he can somehow take out Imu, but Stanson smartly bumps him out of his way, taking the hit instead. He says, we don't know what's up with this guy, so we shouldn't be attacking him head on. And this costs him his leg as it's just sliced up by Imu. And rather cleanly too, I must say. Both his attacks against Gerd and Stanson were quick and super clean. His blade is sharp alright. But Zoro has seen enough, so he tries to attack with his King of Hell mode, and he goes onigiri right away, but is blocked by Imu's tail. Imu then uses a named attack called Omen, and a black flame comes out of Imu's palm, and goes after Zoro, but he barely manages to block in time. However, this attack still manages to send Zoro flying, which is impressive, but at least Zoro could block it, unlike Stanson or Gerd. But for some reason, Hajurin, seeing his friends get chopped up, thinks he can axe Imu. But before he can gain any distance, Imu uses the same attack that he used on Zoro with the palm facing up and the black fire coming out of his hand. But this time, we see the flame take the shape of a demon. And in the next page, you can see this black flame jet out of Imu's hand, and as soon as it makes contact with Hajurin, it explodes. Hajurin has just taken a named attack from Imu from point blank range. Let's see how he survives. The very next panel shows Imu using Omen, and the black flame forms a halo around Saint Summers. And apparently this heals him, and the way that he's reacting, possibly even a power buff, but we'll see. So it looks like Imu's Omen involves his black flames, and he can use it to blow up people and restore serious wounds. And we'll see, but it could also give power boosts to his knights. This ability is so broken it can heal like a Senzuin and attack like a Ki Blast. It's crazy. In the next page, we see Imu tell Summers that there's no time to waste, and the two disperse. Something to note here is that the buildings that were controlled by Imu's aura returned to their inanimate forms after he left. So Imu's passive ability is to animate inanimate things and have them sing along, which is basically like queuing up your boss music for yourself. It's hilarious. So the word is out. There's an even stronger foe than the God Knights here on Elbaph, and the Giants know it. And I really like Imu's design as he flies above the forest of Elbaph. His black wings and dark skin resemble King the Wildfire's design, and he was a Lunarian, so it makes me think that Imu has to have some connections to the Lunarians, right? But he also has the horns that of the Giants, and polka dots all over his body. And not to mention the ring above his head with the creepy eyes everywhere. As I said in my last chapter review video, it could be very well possible that Imu has taken abilities from many different races and infused it on himself somehow. Or he's modified himself in some way, because I doubt he was born this way. In any event, the Giants from Elbaph prepare for the terror coming their way. And they're like, oh man, we just got done with the God Knights, and now we have someone even stronger coming our way. I'm tired of all the fires and the buildings falling, one giant says. In the next page, we see where Imu was headed, straight for Gunko's frozen body. He takes his staff and lets out one of his black demon-shaped fire in the direction of Gunko, but it explodes on contact. And I don't think that Imu wants to kill Gunko. Like, this is not what his goal is here on Elbaph. He saved Summers, and later will save Killingham, so instead I think this attack is just to thaw the ice that Gunko is trapped in. But seeing what the Omen did to Hajurin a few panels ago, it makes you think for a second when he uses the same type of attack here. Back near the lift, we see Scopper Gaban's reactions to Imu's arrival on Elbaph. Scopper is the only one on the Allied side that was there on Gob Valley, so he knows a little about Imu's controlling powers and his haki. But he says that he's never felt haki like this before, not even on Gob Valley, which you can take as him saying that this is the greatest haki that he has ever felt before. But I think he's more so talking about the demonic nature of the haki, and not the power per se. The chapter title is Omen, which translates to demonic aura that Imu possesses. What Scopper means is that in Imu's true form, his haki is even more demonic than when he controlled rocks at Gob Valley, which of course it is. This is the real Imu, his demonic self in the flesh. And I've seen people trying to extrapolate this to try and downscale the old gem like Roger and Garp, saying that this means Imu is stronger than those two or Whitebeard, but I'm not having it. Scopper is not talking about the strength of the haki, but the weird, creepy, demonic nature of it being unlike anything he's ever felt. Anyway, back at the Walrus School, we see Loki and Luffy gobbling food, which was frozen before Loki thawed it out with Ragnar, I presume. All of this is really to let us know that Luffy got his food break, which means in the next 2 chapters he'll be back fighting Imu. Nami joins the rest of the group and asks what's going on, and Jinbei says that Imu might be working with the God Knights, and it cuts off right before he says a name, and then the dialogue reads, "Blank is their target?" So Jinbei suspects someone is their target, which in the next panel we see is Killingham, who got the same omen from Imu that Summers did. And you see the haki ooze from Imu as he touches down, and Sanji's like, "Hey, who told you could free him?" and attacks him. But Imu blocks him with his leg and parries him with his sword. Before Sanji can attack again, Imu roundhouse kicks him, and again like we've seen with Hajuden, the attack explodes on contact. The black flames rage on, and that's when Loki steps in for the challenge. "Who the hell are you?" he says, and Imu straight up makes his goal clear. 14 years ago, Harald, who was his servant, was on Elbaph, but someone took him away from Imu, and now they have to pay for what they did. Loki denies that Harald was ever a slave, and says that he was the king of Elbaph, and Loki admits that he's the one that Imu's been looking for, and that there's nowhere else he would be in the world than on Elbaph, which is so obvious and true. It's like, Imu, how did you not figure out where Loki was all this time? Like, you cannot be that dumb. And so it begins, the showdown between Harald's successor and his oppressor. This is unfolding exactly the way I thought it would, with Imu squaring up against Loki while Luffy's healing up. The only thing I didn't see was him picking up his knights, which I guess makes sense, but I just thought that he didn't care about them like that. But that's how the chapter ends, guys. What are your thoughts? Did you like it? Did you not? In the next chapter, we should be getting a quick fight between these two, but Imu will dismantle him in the end, and Luffy probably shows up at the end of the next chapter. We'll see. If you've watched this far, please like the video and subscribe. It's free, I promise. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.